This is GARIS, Masculist, MGTOW flyers. That is 2 3-page essays on the themes of masculism and MGTOW. Written by and read aloud by Prof. Dr. Hugo de Garis. This is flyer number 11, entitled Primal Parasites. Description. This flyer shows how a fluffie who accuses a MGTOW/masculist of being selfish is 100 times more selfish by wanting a manslave to pay her to have kids that she wants. Flyer itself. Primal Parasites. As MGTOW/masculism grows and grows, as it must, when 2/3 of young men under 35 in the US refuse to marry and have kids, women will increasingly start blaming the men's livers and call them, amongst other things, selfish. Not caring about society. MGTOWs and masculist MGTOWs, that is, masculists who live the MGTOW lifestyle of not marrying nor having kids, but who are not like typical MGTOWs who are mostly politically passive, but in contrast are politically active, pushing the masculist/MGTOW ideas on the public stage. We'll need a ready retort to these fluffies and fluffy feminists. Here is one. As usual, an important idea needs a good label to help sell and spread the idea, so I'll first present the idea and then suggest a label for it. Imagine some fluffy feminist accuses you, assuming you are a MGTOW or a masculist MGTOW, of being selfish in not wanting to help pay for a woman, that is her, to raise a kid, and how you would reply. Here's an example of such a dialogue. F, that's for female or feminist or feminazi. I find your MGTOW attitudes threatening, frightening, and very selfish. M for masculist, MGTOW, or man. Why? I'm not hurting anyone, not affecting anyone negatively. Why are you so negative about it? F. Because it's so selfish. If most men were MGTOWs, then women would have to shoulder the burden of raising kids all on their own. That's much tougher than if she has a man to help her. And it's much better for the kids too. M. You're assuming that most women need to have kids, but the world is already massively overpopulated with 7.3 billion people. F. It's women's instinct to have kids. It's in their DNA. They get very unhappy if they don't grow and raise a kid or two. M. So you're saying men should be roped in to satisfy women's deep nature? F. That's always been the way for millions of years. M. Until the contraceptive pill came along and changed everything. Before that, kids came along naturally because men are programmed in their DNA to be hungry to penis women, and women are hungry to have kids, so they accept being penis. You put those two deep instincts together and you get kids. It was nature's way since always, but not today. F. Yes, the pill certainly changed things. I don't want kids until I'm in my early 30s. Right now I'm building my career and learning to be a FIP. I don't want to be dependent on a man for money. M. That sounds very contradictory to me. You want to be independent financially, yet you claim that men who don't want to be parasited on by fluffies, that is the MGTOWs and masculists, are selfish because they don't give money to women to raise kids. It seems to me women are 100 times more selfish than MGTOW/masculists because these fluffies want to bring more kids into a vastly overcrowded world and want men to help them pay for those kids that women want. So, these fluffy women want men to become man-slaves to them, so that these fluffies don't need to make the effort to become real FIPs to pay for their own kids with their own money. That's hugely more parasitic than being a MGTOW. F. But it's women's nature. You can't change that. The drive to have babies is deeply ingrained in women. M. I understand, but that doesn't stop it being selfish on women's part. These fluffy women want to satisfy their own hunger for motherhood and have some manslave pay for them to satisfy that hunger. That is contemptible in my MGTOW/masculist eyes. Traditionally, a man paid for the kids and a fluffy parasitic wife. Now a fit woman only has to pay for the kids, not for the kids and a parasitic fluffy husband. It's easier for her financially. Pretty soon, women will wake up to the idea that if they want to have kids, they will have to become FIPs so they can afford to have kids that largely only they want. Because so many men are going MGTOW/masculist lately that few men want the burden of being manslaves to a fluffy wife and her kids. Research shows that the happiest couples are childless and the unhappiest couples have teenage kids. So couples should not have kids given those results. New section. So, summarizing this dialogue a bit, fluffies who want a man to be a manslave for her so she can raise her kids that she wants is 100 times more selfish than a MGTOW/masculist. Such women need to be labeled. So here is a suggestion for such a label. Those fluffies who accuse men of being selfish for being MGTOW/masculist, I label Primal Parasites, because it's a form of primal parasitism that is coming from deep inside them, from their DNA programming, an instinct that drives them relentlessly. But satisfying an instinct can still be very selfish if it serves no other major purpose. The Earth doesn't need more kids. It would be advisable for the Earth population to shrink to under 1 billion. For example, the Georgia Guidestones. So when some fluffy accuses you of being selfish for being a MGTOW, then quip back that she's 100 times more selfish because she's a primal parasite. By definition, she's a fluffy who wants a man to parasite off, to have him pay for her to raise her kids that she wants. How parasitically selfish is that? Cheers. Prof. Dr. Hugo de GARIS. Email profhugodegaris@yahoo.com. Website profhugodegaris.wordpress.com. YouTube channel name de GARIS, Masculist, MGTOW, Flyers.